Good morning, good evening. This is Benjamin speaking.
Good to see you.
Thanks so much, sir. Though I had a very busy schedule, if you look at my GTOP, you can see that I was able to manage to do 1 to 3 for chapter 3, but this week I will battle them and try to finish it.
Okay.
I had a very busy schedule, sir, but I'm finding it difficult. I'm still for that chapter 2.5. I'm still looking for a good way of doing that alphabet A. Based
Oh,
on research, but it's not giving me what I want. But I will try to do it by myself and I'll upload it. Just refresh, you see. So
okay.
that's just my.
Okay, but question. Have you shared your GitHub with me?
Yes.
I can't see the message. So what will happen? Maybe you share it again, right?
Okay.
Remove me and share again. I was having a problem for some
Okay.
time. I was not getting my notifications, but I figured it out during the week. So
Okay.
those are sent a long time ago. I would not have seen it. So please just do me a favor, remove me and add again. Then I'll get the notification.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Then for the A, which you mentioned, there is a class where Michael solved it in class. I don't know if you
Yeah,
were
I'm,
in class
I'm
that day.
following it. I'm
Mm.
following it, but though you see it there, you
Mm.
see it where I followed it and where I stopped. But I will continue. I will try and finish it up.
All right, good, good. Any other person have something to share with us?
Oh, yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Peter.
Yes, first time to share the video. Yeah.
Nice to see
Um,
you.
yeah, thank you, sir. You too. The classes have been fantastic. Joined last week, but it's been a really good ride. Um, I think where I face challenges, well, I think I have myself to blame. I have been on Python for a while. So doing those exercises were not entirely new, but at some extent was challenging. Yeah, to say the least, it was challenging. It brought back those my little little bits and tricks I used to get myself around some
Mm.
problems. So when you asked us to create those shape, like recreate those shape using for loops, I had some issues. I had some issues, but I was able to sort it out. I just had to
Mm.
think differently. That was the idea. I thought differently, and I was still able to get around the exercises.
Mm.
So a little bit on the documentation. I think with the tax, I was able to get more understanding with the use of my IDE. Like I've been using PyCharm for some time, but I think there are some functions within the PyCharm IDE that I didn't know, like how to look up documentations that's already pre-installed on the IDE on certain
Mm.
functions and how you use them. I didn't know how to do that before. So for every time I need to understand the function, I had to go online and search it out. The ones I can remember, I remembered it. But within that, I was able to help myself out. So it's been a good one. I was able to finish the exercises. I don't know if you have the time to go through them. Sorry for pestering you yesterday, though. I was the one
I
pestering time.
It's not pestering. I was looking at them. I have some comments, but I just reserved it because at the end of the day, you may not get it perfectly well, but I like the way you arrange your code and the fact that you put effort to do all of them. Then there are certain things that as you go, maybe I'm just using would I say a more advanced eye, right? To look at the
Right.
code. So I will see some things, but we'll leave it for now. As we go ahead, you look at your code
Mm,
tomorrow. That's why we're
yeah.
keeping all these things in our repository. One day you look back at your repository and say, did I actually do it like this? You know,
Yeah, like
that's
I
the
didn't,
beauty of it.
it's it's a funny feeling, you know.
Mm.
I didn't want to overcomplicate things because some of those tasks there, with the way I like my level, I should have attempted it differently. Maybe used define some functions to get some of those tasks done. But I usually try to stay low, like based on the
No,
chapter, looking at the chapters you're teaching. I didn't
don't
want to
bring
use
in function.
too many complex stuff. I just stayed on the basic. If we are
Mm.
learning for loops, I just make sure I stick to the for loops, use for loops within my programs. Uh, Even those ones that you had to just use the print statement and the other one, I don't want to overcomplicate things. So I had to
Okay.
just stick to the basic way to get the job done.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's good because we just
I'm looking
working
forward.
from foundation up, right? You may know how to use a function or create a function, but we are not there yet. We'll get to
Yeah.
that point. Yeah. All right. I'm really happy to see that we are putting effort in our way and independently finding solutions. That's what we want. We want everybody to become an independent learner, right? And you only get to that stage when you practice. Okay. So
So one more thing.
okay.
That triangle we are asked to get, I mean, using a symbol kind of to
Mm,
get the stars that form the shape of A.
mm-hmm.
I got it, but I don't know how to scroll down using those the terminals. And another thing, I heard what you're saying, PowerShell. I don't know. I've used Google Colab, but this one, this VS Code, it
Mm.
was difficult for me to see the PowerShell.
So the
Well, I
terminal, you
googled
mean?
this. They said I should install the extension, which the one of Microsoft, which I did, but I couldn't see where to show the environment. I'm not all that used to it. I don't
Okay.
know if you get my question.
Not really. I'm
I mean,
suspecting you're talking about the terminal in your Visual Studio
yes,
Code was not showing.
I increased the number of that the shape of that using stars to form a shape of A.
Okay. And it became
Then
bigger than the screen.
yes, so how to scroll it? I tried looking for the button. I didn't see it. Then
Okay. I see.
I needed to see the beginning of it, the first star. I didn't see it. I
Then,
saw half of the diagram. So
okay.
to scroll it was difficult for me.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
Did you
Oh,
did you try with a maybe size of height of 5?
I did, but I needed to know how. That's my problem. I reduced it and I saw when I reduced it to 6, and I saw the reshape. But if I increased it to 20, some
Mm.
of them will go inside. So how to retrieve the first star was difficult for me.
nothing is
Okay.
lost. It's the same thing.
Someone speaking.
Yeah, no. I didn't mute my mic. I was saying that nothing is lost with what she's saying. It's just I think it's resizing her console. When she increases the size, I don't know if that's what she was saying, that some of the printouts doesn't get displayed. I don't know whether that was what she
Yes,
was saying.
yes, yeah.
All right. It's because of the resolution of the screen. If you want to maximize the use of your screen, like for example, if you're coding, you can close that your project tab, like adjust the project tab so that you can use more of the space on your screen. I guess there's
Okay.
not enough space on your screen. That's why your console appears small, like the files get hidden
Mm-hmm.
in
Yes.
console.
Okay.
But it's fine, you'll find your
I
way
can
around it.
collapse it.
Yeah, you can collapse it, or you just make
Oh,
it an independent window at once. But it will be stressful because you have to collapse and go back to your code and back
mm,
and forth. May I use PyCharm? I think that's the best. I don't know. But
yeah,
if you're
I
comfortable with
prefer
both,
Colab,
you can do it.
Google Colab.
All right. I don't know. It's a good one, Sha.
Okay.
Like you can view your stuff side by side. That would be the best. Let your code stay let your code take one half of your screen, then your console on the other half. That'd be the best way to utilize the screen. That is how it works for me, but I don't know. Don't know.
I know Spider does that.
Okay.
Okay.
You
People
can
are
still do the same
using
with
different
VS.
ID. Okay, let me share my screen.
All right.
And I was just, as you were talking, I just tried out that A.
Yes, this is my problem.
And in my own case, I can scroll by just using my two mouse on the keypad, normal.
What are you combining to do this?
No, it's just normal strolling. You know how
Normal scroll.
you just put your two hands on the keypad and then move up and down, and it's just
Okay.
scrolling. But I noticed there's also a scroll bar here, so I can also drag it. Okay. But again, don't bother yourself much with the terminal. We're actually not meant to be printing things as big as this and scrolling to see them. Your terminal
Okay.
is just for you to run your code and see the output, right? So far as maybe when you run it for 5, you saw your A, that's fine. You increase it
Okay.
to 10, you saw your A, that's okay, right? If
That's
you go
good.
and put 1,000, you might not see it very well. It doesn't really matter. This is it, you've gotten it, then you move on.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, so we'll move on to today, right? And then we are talking about challenges. Nobody has mentioned any, maybe chapter 3 question, right? These ones that was hard and you couldn't solve, you know.
Ah,
Did you guys solve all
just
of
required
them?
little thinking. Just little thinking. I think the one that looked challenging was that 16. I think just because of too much text on the screen. The if statements to control my printout, I think I need to implement that one. But as for every other thing, it's very simple,
Okay,
including 19 and
To you.
don't worry,
16. That
Peter,
was where my
relax,
issues were.
relax. You're already talking of statement. The class
I
has
don't
not
say we
already.
should share problems.
I know. You've done Python before somehow, right? So you're going faster than the
Somehow,
class in
yeah.
a certain way. That's okay, it's good. But I have to slow you down in that regard. So like other people too that attempted these questions. So I assume that maybe you've not done it, you're yet to do, but please try and do it. It's not also compulsory you solve all of them, but at least if you go through up to maybe 10, 11, 12, it gets complicated more as you go. It just helps to, put the learnings of this chapter into your mind. Okay. This
All
chapter
right.
on numbers tends to get it in. That's why the exercises are
Mm.
there. Then if you can finish all, great. Then if there's anyone you find particularly challenging and taxing you couldn't solve, you can also highlight it so that we'll just all solve it in class like this before we move on.
So
Okay, I
let's see
think I
question
have some
16.
messages. Someone stopped at 10. Okay, no problem. That's NDBC. Great. That's good. So, okay, today, don't worry, we'll start from if statements. Okay. And to explain if statement, let me start from flow chart. You know flow chart, right?
Yes.
So I'm just looking for an example. I saw one before. Let me pop this one. So one in programming, there's what we call flow control. So when we talk about flow control, you're moving, and then you get to a point where you need to make a decision, and there's like a question you have to answer. I'm just hoping to get a simple flow chart that I can use to explain it. So let me just use this now. You see, this is a flow chart. It's showing you how you're going. You're going stepwise from this point to this point to this point. Now, the important thing for this class now is the diamond. In a flow chart, when you get to the diamond, it's more of a question. For instance, now you see, are there any FedEx orders? At this junction, the question is asked. Now, depending on the answer, the next move. So if you say yes, you're coming to this point. When you say no, you go to this point. So this is just what I want to bring out now in terms of flow of things. So when you get to a flow control, you just ask that question, and then it helps you decide which direction you want to go. So in coding, there are problems like this we face where we need to bring in some flow control. And for Python, this is handled very well with if statements. So if we were to ask this same question in Python, are there any others? You would use an if statement. And if it evaluates to true, it's like yes, and then false is like no. So let's go back to our IDE.
Yeah.
So here now, today, we are now talking about if statement. And the general structure is if. Then we have expression. And then you have a colon. Let me make it a comment so this thing will not be underlining it for us. Okay. So you have if, and then we have an expression, and then we have a colon. Now, this expression is also like a condition. It's a statement that must evaluate to true or false. So it must evaluate to become true or false. Okay? As an example now, if I have num equal to 10, I store 10 in this variable, and then I have an expression now as if num is greater than 100, then you have my colon. Let me keep a keyword now for now. Now, whenever you have a block of code and you're not ready to implement it, you can always use this keyword pass. So it's kind of telling the program skip the if, nothing to do. If you don't put it and you run the code, it will be an error, because whenever you have like an if block, I call it a block because it can contain several lines of codes. Now, if you observe very well, most of the codes we write, anyway, in the for loop, yeah, you should know that by now, because in for loop, you have this indentation, right? And then every code that is under the for will be under the indentation. The same thing happens for if. So it's always indented. Now, this is how Python knows where your if starts and ends. So if I keep putting statements maybe I put print. And I put more print, for instance. So you can see everything is under my if because of the indentation. So that's anytime this condition holds as true, okay? Anytime it holds as true, then we are going to have all this line of code executed. That's how the if statement works. So now num is 10. If I come to line 7, if num is greater than 100, when this one evaluates, it's not going to be true. It's going to be false, right? Because 10 is not greater than 100. And when that happens, nothing under the if statement will work. It goes to the next line of code. Maybe
Yes.
maybe here we have a for loop. For I in range 10, print I. Now you see this if statement just like this is complete. Okay. If we get to this point, all of this expression I highlight now will be evaluated to either true or false. And that will affect how the program will go, just like the flow chart I showed you. If it evaluates to true, then all of this will run. If it does not evaluate to true, that means it is false. Python will skip all of these lines and jump to the next line now. In our case, is line 12, which is the for loop, right? So that's how we handle that flow control. I hope it's clear.
Yes.
The key thing to remember is anything you're putting here as an expression or a condition should evaluate to true or false. Now, we have different how would I put it now? Let me see how it's put in the book. We have different operators. Good, that's it. We have different operators. This one now is greater than. So you have this for greater than. You know all these things from maths, I believe. And then you have less than. And we have greater than or equal to. It's just the way you say it. Then you have less than or equal to. Okay, so when you want to say less than or equal to, you use this one. And then you have maybe you want to say not equal to, not equal to. So all these operators can be used with your if statement to check two or more things. And you also can have multiple conditions. Like in this case, we have num greater than 100. I could also say and num less than 500. In this case, I have two expressions, this one and this one, and they are combined with the logical and. So this and now is another operator. And when we talk about it simply means this must be true and this must be true for the whole expression to evaluate to true. Okay, so and, which means all of them, all the conditions must be met. And you have another one which could be or. When you have or this, if any of the condition is met, then the line evaluates to true. Okay, so this can go on. You could have and up to 10 and 20 and as much as possible. So you can combine different conditions in one expression. But the key thing for if statement is no matter how many conditions you put, all of them will evaluate to something, either true or false. Your expression at the end must be one of these. And then if we decide the next direction. So in addition to if statement, let me bring it again. First of all, let me just remove all these lines and keep one print. This if statement on its own is complete. Now, there are some instances where we use what we call the else. I don't think I need 4 here, so let me remove it. Another if statement could have an else. Else, print maybe no. And let me be printing yes here. So if the number is greater than 100, print yes, else print no. Now these two blocks of if statement, there is a slight difference. Okay, there's a slight difference. This one does not have the else, but this one has. And what this means is whenever this is false, there is nothing to be done. Whenever this condition does not hold, there is nothing to be done. And then your code just moves on. But in this second case, if this does not hold, maybe if it's not true, then you have another expression to run. Are we together?
Yes.
So in this case, if it's only when it's true, this condition or this statement will run. Only when this condition evaluates to true. But in this second case, if it is false, you have something else to do. So this type now in your code, nothing can skip it. Something must be done, either true or false. Something has to be done. I hope that's clear.
Yes.
So you can
Yes.
have the if without the else. You can have the if with the else. Else means anything that doesn't evaluate to true, then you will do the next one. You can put different lines of code to be interpreted or used by your Python under the else block. So in this case, now you could have something, a kind of code when we are running, when you get to line 11, nothing will happen. Line 12, you just continue. But this one, if line 15 to 16, nothing happens, 18 must happen. That's how it is. So everything now depends on what you're doing. It's the one you use depends on what you want to achieve. Okay.
Okay.
Now again, we still have another block. Or let me start by saying you could have multiple if statements in a program. Let me use the case of the grades. So if grade is greater than 80, for instance, let me define a grade here by saying grade is equal to maybe eval input, and I'll put enter